Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We are here at the finale of Kenobi, or should I say a day away from the finale of Kenobi. I am here with my co-host Jimmy. Jimmy, we have made it. It has been years in the making. We are on the edge of glory, hopefully, and I'm excited to talk about it with you. One thing I want to tell you guys so far, we're going to be spoiler filled here. We're going to talk about all the episodes that have come out so far. I'm sure we'll probably allude to them as we prep for the finale here. And so if you haven't caught up, don't watch this yet. Go step away, catch up on the show, and then come back and hear our thoughts. By the time you catch up, you might just watch the finale and check out our review then. With all that stuff being said, Jimmy, are you ready emotionally for this finale, for this final episode here of Kenobi?
Yeah, I think so. And I do want to address this and get this out of the way now. I'm in the process of moving, so if anyone's wondering what is going on with this background, I'm stationed at my parents' for about a month and a half before I move out again. So it's gonna look hectic back here. I can't fix it. I'm sorry, but emotionally, yeah, I got pretty emotional in the last week's episode.
Yeah.
Or I guess I can say the penultimate episode. Tala and Ned B. Man, I love those characters. That was really sad.
Yeah.
I don't think anything sad's gonna happen in this one. Yeah, I'm just prepped for it. I'm just ready. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's, we didn't really get to hear Jimmy's thoughts because he was out of town for our stream last week, and
I was in the process of moving here.
yeah, exactly, and wasn't in my review either. But I know Jimmy was a huge fan of episode 5, as was I. I thought it was really, really good. As I said in my review, I think it nailed the most important thing about a show can do, which is the fun factor, right? It had all the fun and kind of enjoyment that I needed personally. And so for some of the weaker moments, they just, to me, they're more minor bumps as opposed to real major problems with the story. But I know some fans disagree, and that's okay too. But we are at the finale, and there are two burning questions, really three burning questions, maybe four, maybe five, but there are really three major burning questions on my mind. First of all, I think what everyone's wondering is, are we going to get a season 2? Is this really the last episode? I am of the belief currently that this is the end of this miniseries for a couple reasons. They've always been calling it a limited series. In fact, in the teaser they released today for the finale, I don't know even where I saw it. I think it was on Twitter. At the end of the teaser, the voiceover guy is like, witness the finale of the limited series finale. And so to me, they're playing up the fact that it's a limited series. And I think it becomes harder to tell well-constructed, tight stories in more episodes, unless the next piece of the project is like a 2-hour movie, like a 2-hour Disney Plus movie that's like wrapping up some loose ends. I think it'd be very hard to tell another 5-hour story. Personally, I think it gets harder and harder to make it fit with A New Hope, but we'll see. I could be surprised. But that's the first thing. Jimmy, what do you think about season 1, season 2? Is this the end of Kenobi? Are we getting more? I know it's doing well as far as viewers are concerned, so Disney might feel like it. I just think it might be hard to tell a really balanced story at that point.
It just depends on what they decided they would want to do next. I mean, I think right now, keeping it as a limited series, I think is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Just because, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett both, also kind of marketed as a limited series?
I don't know if Mando was. I know Book of Boba Fett was. You are correct.
Okay, and that looks like it's pretty set up to have a sequel with the end credit scene that they had for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Andor was also supposed to be a limited series. Now that's got 2 seasons, so
limited.
I'm not sure. Limited is a vague term, and that's all right.
It could mean limited to 2 seasons.
Yeah, we can establish what that means later. Totally. Yeah. I think that the best is to just keep it as the 1 season because, really, when you look at it, everything outside of this story, everything else is Obi-Wan watching Luke. That's it. Nothing else happens until the Twin Sunset episode in Rebels, at least as far as I know. And you got to think the events of the Obi-Wan show has been in reality, it's probably been about 8 to 9 days.
Yeah.
Give or take.
I think if they wanted to do a second season, the way to do that would have been this show needed to take place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, right? But it would have been harder to tell. I think, it's harder to find things that Kenobi should be doing at this point. And so I know we technically have 10 more years before A New Hope. So there are stories you could tell. I just think it becomes harder and harder to balance that, number one.
I do think it would be possible. I don't mean to cut you off. I do think it would be possible if they do a season 2 to take some of the story aspects from the Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller. I know there's a lot of the stuff in that book that no longer works in canon, but the overall story could be incorporated in some way that would be a story that keeps him on Tatooine as opposed to going to all these other planets. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to do a second season where he's more grounded and more looking after Luke, that would be a way to do it. But
Yeah.
I'm not expecting a season 2. I don't think anything has really confirmed it. Like, obviously there are stories they could tell.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they will. And the quotes from early on were Ewan McGregor was like, oh yeah, I'd do a season 2. That doesn't mean they're going to. It means if they offered, he would do it.
And I think a lot of the speculation I've seen, or I haven't watched the videos because I know there were script leaks a while ago and I don't want to be spoiled, but it seems like there's this common rumor trend that's been going on over the last week that they've revised the ending. And I think what people are implying is there might be some sort of cliffhanger where his confrontation with Rivas is unfinished, or something like that. And so maybe it sets up, the only way I could see them doing it effectively is if whatever happens in this episode leaves a big, like, he didn't get Leia back, right? Or something like that, where it's like, oh shoot, we have to finish up in 4 or 5 more episodes.
I think that would be a video we should do after the finale. We should go and look at the script leaks and see how accurate they were.
That's a good point. That'd be fun. We're one day away, so I might not even look at the comments of this video, Jimmy, just so we don't get spoiled. One day away, because some folks might ruin it for us. But beyond that, is it season 1, season 2? That remains to be seen. I would say this for me. Season 1 has been, I think, really successful. I by no means, I want to make this clear because I think it can get lost a little bit. I don't think it's perfect in any way. It's not perfect at all. But I think it's been a success. I think it's worked for most part. I think it's delivered us some really iconic Star Wars moments. And this, I talked about this last week, Jimmy, when you weren't on stream. And I hope folks actually listen to this part of the video because I might even make a standalone topic on this. I think Kenobi has suffered from its once-a-week format. And let me explain why. When you do a 27-minute episode, that's on the weaker side. It maybe has some... You have an entire week to talk about that specific episode. All the weak moments, all of the terrible, weirdness that people didn't like or whatever. If they would have released all 6 episodes, all people would be talking about is the iconic Vader Kenobi moment and the iconic Vader absolute just flex. Because this week, Jimmy, what's all anyone's been talking about? Oh, last episode was so good. Prequel era flashbacks. Oh, Vader's as powerful as all we'd wanted him. The narrative this week has been, oh my gosh, what a masterpiece. So the narrative gets switched every single week with Kenobi. Episode 1 is great. Yeah, episode 2 is not good enough. Episode 3 is great. You know what I mean? It's that kind of... Meanwhile, a show like Stranger Things, which has been really, really good, season 4, there's a moment in particular in episode 1 that I thought was absolutely terrible, terribly written, terribly directed, just so stupid, and you don't see anything about it. And do you know why? Well, because the episode's an hour long, and there were 8 episodes to watch that were an hour long each right away. So there's 8 hours of content. So the weak moment in episode 1 is completely outshined by the other 7 hours of greatness, right? So the weak moments don't stick out as much. And so I'm not saying Kenobi's as good as Stranger Things season 4. This has been, I think, the best season of Stranger Things in a long time. I think I think the show's been really hyped up. I think the last 2 seasons didn't really meet up to that. This season's been very good so far. I'm not finished yet, but my point is simply that I think Kenobi has suffered a little bit from its release schedule. And so people are a little bipolar about it. Oh, 1 week it's great, 1 week it's terrible. When I think as an overall product, if you just watched it 5 episodes through, there's some truly iconic Star Wars moments. The Kenobi versus Vader round 1, and then Vader's dismantling of Reva are going to be talked about, made into montages forever, for the next 30, 40 years. When you have kids and they're watching Star Wars, you're going to make them watch those moments because they're huge deals. And I think we've gotten some iconic parts of new Star Wars lore that, I don't know if people fully appreciate that yet. So to me, this has been an absolute success. Brought back Hayden and Ewan to feel all the love from the fans. I think it's been absolutely a success in that regard. So just kind of my 2 cents as we think about a season 2. I mean, I think season 1's been really effective. I hope the finale, I'll be honest with you guys, I think Disney Plus finales have been weak. historically. Almost all the shows outside of Loki, I think have had pretty weak, not like terrible, just they seem to kind of hit a high point and then just level out. Moon Knight had some moments in the finale that were really good, but I think the best thing about Moon Knight was the after credit scene in the finale, which is kind of a tricky spot to be in. So regardless, I think it's been a success, and I think season 2 will be a challenge. Now to change gears here, and Jimmy, I want to pass it over to you right off the bat. When you've seen the show so far, we have groundwork laid for possible closing storylines now. What is maybe your most anticipated, most excited? What are you predicting, or what is kind of your dream scenario? Even if it might not happen, what are you hoping to see in this finale that would be on your bucket list here?
That's a really hard one because I don't know.
Yeah.
And I never truly know, because as much as I love Star Wars and I am like engulfed with it 24/7, I have never been able to guess any of the plots ever. Which I think for that reason, I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because I'm like, oh, it would be really cool if Snoke was Plagueis, and then they're like, no, he was a messed up clone. I was like, oh, cool. Never would have thought of that one.
Yeah.
Good on you. I'm more excited with these plot points because I'm like, oh, good idea, because I didn't think of it. My brain never would have gone there. Thank you for opening my brain to more ideas.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it a lot today at work. Like what's gonna happen, especially since Reva got Bale's message, which I thought was funny. That it was all crackly. It just happened to spit out all of the context she needed. I was like, okay.
That's one of the weaker points of the episode for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a problem, I find it funny. It's like the same, like everyone was complaining about the trench coat thing with Leia. I thought it was hysterical.
I complain about that.
Because also, what other option did they have?
Yeah.
But aside from that, I imagine there's going to be some kind of showdown on Tatooine. And I don't know if it's going to be between Obi-Wan and Vader, but I think it's going to be between Obi-Wan and Reva. I think that's going to be the final fight. And I don't think it's going to be like she's holding Luke hostage or anything, because obviously Luke knows who Ben is. He doesn't know like everything about him by this point. At least I don't think he does. So I think it's going to be more of I'm going to threaten Luke, because like, even though there's like that weird rumor of like a team up thing, or, Reva's going to redeem herself, I don't think that's going to happen. I think she's still mad at Kenobi. She's going to do everything she can to get at him.
I see it going two ways. I'm also terrible at predicting these things, Jimmy, so we are right in the same boat. I think one option, based on kind of just what I've seen so far in my thoughts, are you have maybe two things operating in parallel, which is the main focus of the episode is the final confrontation between Kenobi and Vader. And what's going to happen there is it's going to end with the suspected death of Obi-Wan. And I think that they're going to make that why Vader in A New Hope was like, I haven't felt that since, and then Tarkin's like, isn't he dead? Like, shouldn't he be dead by now? The assumption is like they lost sight of him. It was reasonable to think he was dead, so they didn't seek him anymore. So I think Kenobi and Vader are going to have some sort of, either a ship is crashing or there's some sort of scenario where, Vader might not truly believe he's gone, but there might be plausible, a thought that no way Kenobi could have survived that. So that's kind of my thought number one, because if there isn't some fight like that where Vader and Kenobi end in a way that Vader thinks he's truly gone, it doesn't make sense why Vader would stop pursuing him for the next 10 years. Just kind of my perspective. I think that's the best way to do it. Have some sort of final fight between the two of them where you suspect Obi-Wan is dead and Vader thus feels satisfied for that moment and moves on with his goals. And what they might do is at the very end of Kenobi returns to Tatooine in some crazy way. Again, I don't know the details. He makes it, gets back, he goes to watch Luke. Luke is gone. And that's where it ends, and that's your season 2. So, because Reva has taken him. It's extremely unlikely, because that would be a lot harder to balance with A New Hope. But they might do something crazy like that to give you a season 2.
That would cause some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. Half joking there, but I do think on the first part, I do think that's what's going to have to happen. Is you're going to have to. It doesn't make sense to me if Obi-Wan just handles Vader again, because what does Vader decide at that point? Like, yeah, give me 10 more years. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he decides like, okay, I'm not strong enough yet. I need to you know, wear him down. I'm younger than him, so I'll just I'll just age better. I don't know, but that to me makes most sense. So I suspect we'll see that again. Otherwise, they'll have to come up with some interesting ideas that I haven't in a way to explain why Vader is no longer obsessively chasing Kenobi.
What if I were to make a guess? I would say that I'm gonna stick with the fight between Kenobi and Reva. I'm gonna stick with that for now, and maybe a Vader fight. I don't know, but let's say that, and it's just gonna end in a cloud of smoke, and I mean a literal cloud of like sand and dust and something like that, to the point where it's not the rumored that he's dead. It's more of the I've completely lost where Kenobi has run off to. All of my leads have ended.
Yeah,
I have to start over again. Which would make sense, if you go to the Death Star fight, where he says, "I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last."
That's a fair point.
I would like to think that means that he obviously he's not convinced that he's dead.
That's a good point.
He is going to be like Bane in that sense. He's dead. Show me his body.
Yeah, maybe the Empire. No, it makes a lot of sense. It's a good point, Jimmy. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think the best part about this is we've finally gotten some answers that people have been complaining about since the first episode.
Yeah.
And obviously, patience aside, I think whatever comes out of this episode, we don't have to worry about canon. And if there's a season 2, still don't have to worry about canon. They're going to take care of that. They know what they can do to make it make sense. They know what not to do.
Yeah.
And because I know we had some comments on some of our videos. I don't remember who said them, because there was a few of them that said the same thing, but they were like, this episode was better because it didn't break canon as much as the last episode. And I remember sitting there and thinking, what broke in the last episode? I was struggling to think of what they were referring to. I haven't seen anything that breaks canon so far.
We made a whole video, 20 minutes long, about the rematch between Kenobi and Vader and why I felt like it made total sense within the context of A New Hope. Some fans disagreed with me. I don't think it's a stretch to make it fit, though. It's not like you have to do mental gymnastics. I think you just have to be you have to understand that Vader's line is "when I left," not the last time we met. When we met, when I left you, I was. And then you can even get kind of legalistic and say, well, he didn't even leave in Revenge of the Sith because Obi-Wan cut off all his limbs and left him. And then fans would say, well, actually, he meant left because it was right before they departed that it was the last time Anakin and Obi-Wan were together. But that wasn't really left either, because Obi-Wan left and Anakin's standing there watching him get in his ship. So let's call it what it is, guys. It's never been a perfect fit because George, his vision enhanced and changed, and he made the fantastic prequels, and he wasn't held back from a line he wrote 30 years ago. He said, hey, you know what? I've got a better idea now. I'm just going to tweak it. So we don't need to beat a dead horse there, but we have a full video on that if you guys care. Now, for me, I'll be honest with you, Jimmy, like, to your point, we're not great at speculating. We can have fun with ideas. You already kind of poked holes on the very idea I put out there with Vader thinking he's dead. It is maybe likely that Empire thinks he's dead and just tells Vader, like, hey, he's dead, move on. And Vader's like, no, he's out there. And they're like, we're focusing on these other Jedi, because the Emperor often treats Vader like crap. So it's not.
Oh, yeah, he lies to him about everything.
Exactly. So it's reasonable to believe the Emperor would be completely fine with letting Vader not be happy or satisfied. In fact, it might make him even more angry and more fueled in the dark side. So
yeah, check out the Darth Vader comic, specifically where he hires Boba Fett to hunt down the guy who blew up the Death Star.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he tells him it was a guy named Skywalker, and Vader realizes the Emperor lied to him the entire time. Yeah. Great scene. Yeah. Great scene.
And so, all I really want, honest to goodness, like we've talked a little bit about what we've liked, what we haven't, and the show's percent, all of that. I mean, where I come down to here is as I'm trying to wrap up my thoughts, it's like I just really want it to be good. I think even if it doesn't give me what I want, like I'd love one more rematch between Vader and Obi-Wan that was really epic, with great music and great choreography, and just a love letter to prequel fans that we get to see this one more time. Since Revenge of the Sith, right? Their first fight was had some amazing moments, in my opinion, as well. I thought Vader was phenomenally portrayed there, but maybe one more fight with them as equals. But we might not get that. And if we don't, that's okay. If the episode kind of meets that bar, if it's a successful, it is so important to nail your last episode. the last taste you leave in the mouth of the viewers really impacts the entire perception. It's the last thing they see and remember and talk about. And so you just ended the last episode with just a fantastic high point with Vader kind of unleashed. I want to see the same kind of great ending, whatever it might be. And I suspect Qui-Gon Jinn's going to be in this episode. Maybe that's, this emotional moment that we're all excited for. I just really want it to be good. Above all else, if I don't get a rematch between Vader and Obi-Wan, that's okay. If it's Reva versus Obi-Wan, for 5 hours, if it's good, I don't care. I just want it to be good. The discourse online can be very draining. Even it's easy to say, oh, don't read it, like what you like, but when you're like bombarded with people telling you you're wrong or it's stupid, it can just be a little draining. And so I would love if that we could all mainly be excited as a community. I know it'll never happen that we're all satisfied, but I'd love if we could just kind of have maybe a nice send-off for these two actors. I don't want their experience to be they came back, worked hard on this, and then had to deal with all the toxic fandom again. I just don't want that to be what happens.
Yeah. Truthfully, like I don't. It doesn't bother me what comes out of this episode because I'm probably just going to enjoy it. That's just what I do. I do think like the last two things that I'd like to say. For one, I think one more idea or theory as to what could happen. I definitely think this episode is going to be more on the lines of Revenge of the Sith or The Last Jedi. And I say those two specifically because they open up mid-battle. Revenge of the Sith opens up, they're already in a fight. The Last Jedi opens up as they're trying to evacuate, and then the First Order shows up. Because in the end of that episode, Roken sits down to Kenobi and he's like, our hyperdrive is busted and they're right behind us. So I really think I don't think we're gonna like skip any time. I think we're gonna open right on that.
That's a good point.
And go into some potential dog firefight, whatever you want to call it. The last thing I'd like to theorize with, and I want your opinion on this. Yeah. What's the runtime looking like?
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion about that. There's that 1 hour, 33-minute thing that's been going around. And I made a video on that. It's definitely accounting for the Q&A. But what do you think? I want to throw out as specific as you want to make it. What do you think this runtime is going to be? Realistically, I'm going to say 53 minutes.
I was going to say 56.
56? Okay.
Say 56. For me, and I'm going to say has to be, and it doesn't have to be anything, but for me, ideally, I'd like it to be longer than 45 minutes. I do not want like a 25, 30-minute finale. I want us to have time. I want these emotional moments in the finale to let us breathe. There's a very, very good chance, at least in my opinion, this is the last time we ever see these actors play these characters again. There's a very good chance. Now, could they do like a Vader solo, special with Hayden Christensen returning? Sure. I just don't think, and again, we opened it up. Maybe they will do a season 2, but
yeah, we could see a lot in Ahsoka too.
But I just don't think we're gonna have this opportunity again, and so I want them to take their time with it. I want them to spend the emotional, give us the emotional moments, spend enough time to develop those. So I hope it's at least 45 minutes. If it's an hour, around that 50 to an hour, it'd be fantastic. But we'll see.
I agree. I think I would like it to be at least 45 or 50. Now, if it's, for whatever reason, 20 minutes long, but it answers everything as it should, I'm not going to... I'll be sad that it's over, but I'm like, hey, at least they got everything answered. But I do think, regardless of the runtime, I'm really going to take, 10 minutes before it starts to really savor that and realize that this is very well could be the last time we see Ewan and Hayden.
Yeah.
I want to appreciate that.
Yep. I agree.
Because I totally took that for granted as a kid, seeing Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I did too. I absolutely. We'll make videos on this over the next couple weeks, guys. It's going to be a huge topic for us to address. And one thing is, I have been a little disheartened by the online communities. It's okay to not like something. I want to make this totally clear. It's okay to not like something, but something about our digital age, and I guess we're all guilty of it, myself included. It really encourages kind of the hot take, tribal approach to grouping up and arguing and fighting and spamming. And, we have a lot of, negativity that's easy to kind of build on the internet. And it just bums me out that these actors who had a terrible experience the first time, come back, feel all this love when they go to the cons and everything, and then they make this great product, and then I don't want them to experience the same fate where they're just going to remember like, oh, that was so fun, and then we got ripped online again for another 10 years. People like to pretend it doesn't happen. I don't know why. I mean, I get negative comments all the time, and I have 1,700 subscribers. Guys, if I'm getting them, these guys are getting quintuple what I get easily. There was a hot topic today about Star Wars Theory, and he was expressing frustration with the backlash he gets. If he's getting it, these big actors are getting it. Everyone's getting it. So, and this is online. This is the community. I hope that they don't have this negative experience. So I really want this finale to be great, and everyone have a big smile on their face, and have a nice little closing chapter to my favorite characters in Star Wars, Obi-Wan and Anakin, portrayed by these actors, by Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. These are my two favorite. That's what I grew up with. Revenge of the Sith, my favorite movie, and I really want them to have that satisfying kind of wrap up. So I'm very hopeful that it nails it, and I think you're right. I mean, maybe it's the best 15 minutes I've ever seen. It's only 15 minutes, but I just hope it's good. I hope it's I'm gonna stay up tomorrow night and watch it. I hope we're all having a great time with it. I think the show overall has been really solid. There's been some lower, weaker moments, like everything. It's not perfect. I'm just hoping they hit a home run here to walk it out. So,
and keep your eyes peeled. There's more than likely going to be an end credit scene.
That's a good point.
That's not from a source or anything.
That's from Jimmy.
Saying we've seen it before with the Book of Boba Fett. We saw it with Mando season 2. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to happen.
I'll be curious. Maybe that'll go into that season 2 chat we had earlier. Well,
watch the end credit scene be like the opening of A New Hope. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be kind of cool. I wonder if they do. Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of fun. We're in almost like the very first thing they showed us in the episode was a recap of the prequels. Maybe it's kind of fun where they end it with a tie-in to the beginning. But
I think it'd be pretty cool if they if the end credit scene was just a shot from the back of Princess Leia saying General Kenobi years ago, and it cool. Starts that monologue and then cuts off. That would be really cool.
That'd be kind of fun. I'd like that too. That'd be cool.
It'd just be kind of fun,
Well, if you made it this far, let us know down below. Today's special phrase is Jimmy's on the move. Okay, so that's how we'll know you made it. Jimmy's actually underneath the Lucasfilm headquarters right now, getting ready to, shake the hand of all the creative team behind it.
The walls you see behind me are actually the authentic pieces of wood that was used to build the stage in London, the same stage they used to build the Dagobah sets.
Other side of that wall?
The set was built 5 feet off the ground so that Frank Oz could be under there with Yoda. This is that wood.
That's it. That's 100% it. Jimmy's our insider on the ground. Let us know down below, guys, what you think. What are you looking for? Are you excited for this finale? Overall, I feel like the perception has been positive. There's definitely a lot of people criticizing it. And again, it's not perfect. We're allowed to say that. It definitely is not perfect. I've still had a really good time, even if it's not perfect. I like McDonald's, and it's not fine dining, and that's okay. So let us know what you think down below. Stay tuned to the channel. Watch our review. Be here for our Thursday night live stream where we talk about it live. You got Jimmy who likes everything and Ben who likes nothing. So it's always an interesting time to get the three of us together. We had a funny conversation last week, just Ben and myself, where we called him Jaded. So make sure you guys stop by. Let us know what you think. We're looking very much forward to it. Thanks so much for being on this journey with us as we watch Kenobi. It's been a ton of fun to interact with everyone, and we're looking forward to our next Star Wars adventure after this. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see y'all again very soon.